Ferrari steals McLaren's race engineers for Lewis. McLaren discuss Papaya Rules for 2026 and all the latest F1 news before testing. The dawn of a new era in Formula One has officially begun. And let me tell you, the opening day of testing in Barcelona delivered drama, surprises, and a glimpse into what could be the most revolutionary season in decades. Today, we're diving deep into everything that happened during the first day of the 2026 preseason testing, where 7 teams battled it out on track, while others played mysterious waiting games. Picture this. It's 9 in the morning in Barcelona. The gates open, and 3 cars immediately charge out of the pit lane like hungry wolves. Mercedes, Audi, and Alpine wasted absolutely no time getting their revolutionary new machinery onto the asphalt. But here's where things get interesting, because while some teams were eager to show their hand, others were playing their cards incredibly close to their chest. Ferrari and McLaren? Nowhere to be seen. Williams? They've completely skipped the party, claiming they're pushing for maximum car performance instead. Aston Martin remained mysteriously silent about their plans, leaving everyone guessing when Adrian Newey's first creation for the Green Team would finally hit the track. This immediately created an atmosphere of uncertainty and intrigue that had everyone on the edge of their seats. The moment that will go down in history happened when Kimi Antonelli crossed the finish line with the very first official lap time of the 2026 season. 1 minute, 31.77 seconds. Not the fastest lap we'll ever see, but absolutely historic as the opening marker of this groundbreaking new technical era. The young Italian, representing Mercedes, had just written his name in the record books forever. But here's where the story gets absolutely fascinating. While Antonelli was busy making history, there was already trouble brewing elsewhere on track. Franco Colapinto, driving for Alpine, had the rather dubious honor of bringing out the very first red flag of the new season when he stopped at the exit of turns 1 and 2. Talk about an inauspicious start to what everyone hopes will be Alpine's comeback year. The timing sheets during these early hours told a story of wildly different programs and approaches. You had drivers separated by nearly 3 seconds, which, in Formula One terms, might as well be different racing series entirely. Some teams were clearly running basic installation laps, getting familiar with their new machines, while others seemed more focused on pushing the boundaries of what these revolutionary new cars could achieve. Then came the emergence of a name that sent shockwaves through the paddock. Isaac Hajar, the Red Bull debutant, started the day at the back of the timing sheets, but began systematically working his way up the order like a man possessed. This wasn't just about setting fast times. This was about making a statement that Red Bull's dominance wouldn't be ending anytime soon. The technical regulations for 2026 represent the biggest shakeup Formula One has seen in over a decade. These aren't just cosmetic changes or minor aerodynamic tweaks. We're talking about completely reimagined power units, revolutionary aerodynamic concepts, and engineering solutions that would have been considered science fiction just a few years ago. Every team essentially started from zero, making this testing session absolutely crucial for understanding where everyone stands. Mercedes entered this test as overwhelming favorites, and there's solid reasoning behind that prediction. Remember 2014? When Formula One last introduced major engine regulation changes, Mercedes absolutely dominated, winning 6 consecutive Constructors' Championships. Their experience with hybrid power unit technology and their proven ability to adapt to major rule changes made them the natural choice for preseason predictions. Kimi Antonelli's early pace seemed to validate those expectations. The young Italian steadily improved throughout the morning session, dropping his lap time from that historic first attempt down to a much more impressive 1 minute, 22.3 seconds. For someone making his testing debut with such revolutionary machinery, this represented exceptional adaptation and natural speed. But Formula One rarely follows the script, and that's exactly what makes it so captivating. Just as Mercedes seemed to be establishing early dominance, Isaac Hajar began his methodical assault on the timing sheets. The Red Bull rookie, having completed his basic installation work, started finding serious pace in the RB22. The contrast between the two standout performers couldn't have been more dramatic. Antonelli represented the established order, Mercedes' careful planning and methodical approach to new regulations. Hajar embodied the disruptive energy that has defined Red Bull's approach to Formula One, the willingness to take risks and push boundaries that others might consider too dangerous. As the morning progressed into the third hour of running, the gap between different programs became increasingly apparent. While some drivers were focused on reliability running and basic systems checks, others were clearly pushing for headline-grabbing lap times. This created a fascinating dynamic where reading the true competitive order became nearly impossible. The second red flag provided another moment of drama when Gabriel Bortoleto stopped at turn 10 with what Audi described as a technical issue under investigation. This interruption highlighted one of the biggest challenges facing teams in 2026. The complexity of these new machines means that even basic reliability represents a significant achievement. When the session resumed, the battle between Antonelli and Hajar intensified dramatically. The Mercedes driver held the top spot with his 1:22.3, sitting 7/10 ahead of Liam Lawson in second position, with Hajar lurking ominously in third place, just half a second further back. Then came the moment that shifted the entire narrative of the day. Just before the unofficial lunch break, Hajar unleashed a devastating lap time of 1 minute, 20.494 seconds. This wasn't just faster than Antonelli's best. It was over a second and a half quicker, a margin that in Formula One terms represents a completely different league of performance. But Hajar wasn't finished making statements. He followed up with an even more impressive 1:20.3 before delivering the knockout punch with a stunning 1 minute, 18.835 seconds. To put this in perspective, this lap time was only 7 seconds slower than last year's Spanish Grand Prix pole position, achieved with slower tires, much colder conditions, and a brand new car on its very first day of running. The implications of Hajar's performance cannot be overstated. This wasn't just about one fast lap. This was about demonstrating that Red Bull's engineering excellence and their ability to extract maximum performance from new regulations remained absolutely intact. While other teams were still figuring out the basics, Red Bull appeared ready to pick up exactly where they left off. The practice start sessions during the lunch break provided another layer of intrigue. Unofficial reports suggested Hajar continued his dominance in this crucial area, outpacing both Antonelli and Colapinto in what many consider the most important skill for race day success. This opening day of testing revealed several crucial insights about the upcoming season. First, Mercedes' reputation as regulation change masters might be facing its first serious challenge in over a decade. Second, Red Bull's depth of talent extends far beyond their current race drivers, with Hajar proving he belongs at the highest level. Third, reliability remains a significant concern for several teams, with both Alpine and Audi experiencing technical difficulties. The absence of several major players added another layer of mystery to proceedings. Ferrari and McLaren's decision to skip opening day testing suggests either supreme confidence in their preparation or potential issues that required additional development time. Williams' complete absence raises even more questions about their readiness for this revolutionary new era. Looking ahead to the remaining days of testing, the competitive landscape appears more uncertain than anyone predicted. Mercedes' early pace proves they've successfully adapted to the new regulations, but Red Bull's late-day dominance suggests the championship battle might be closer than expected. The technical problems experienced by Alpine and Audi highlight the challenges facing teams trying to establish themselves in this new era. As we wrap up this analysis of a truly historic day in Formula One, one thing becomes crystal clear. The 2026 season promises to deliver everything fans could hope for. Revolutionary technology, emerging talent, established excellence, and the kind of uncertainty that makes every race weekend absolutely unmissable. The first chapter of this new era has been written, and if today's action is any indication, we're in for the ride of our lives. Ferrari just dropped some major news that has every Formula One fan talking. And if you're a Lewis Hamilton supporter, you're going to want to hear this. The Italian team has made a decision that could completely change Hamilton's 2026 championship hopes. And honestly, it's about time they did something. Let me ask you this. Have you ever watched a race where the driver and race engineer just couldn't click? Where every radio message felt awkward and tense? Well, that's exactly what we witnessed throughout Hamilton's entire first season with Ferrari. The relationship between Lewis and his race engineer Riccardo Adami was nothing short of painful to watch. And now Ferrari has finally pulled the trigger on a change that everyone saw coming. Here's what happened. After 24 races of awkward exchanges, testy radio communications, and what can only be described as a complete lack of chemistry, Ferrari announced that Hamilton will not be working with Adami in 2026. The writing was on the wall from the very beginning of their partnership, but seeing it play out over an entire season was genuinely uncomfortable for fans to witness. Think about it. Lewis Hamilton is a 7-time world champion who's used to seamless communication with his race engineer. He needs someone who understands his racing style, anticipates his needs, and can provide the kind of strategic support that separates good drivers from great ones. Instead, what we got was a series of radio exchanges that ranged from awkward silences to outright disagreements about race strategy. The most telling moments came during races when Hamilton would make comments about fairness, question decisions about letting other drivers through, and even make references to taking tea breaks. These weren't the kind of smooth professional communications we're accustomed to hearing from a championship-caliber driver-engineer pairing. It was clear from early in the season that something wasn't working, but Ferrari stuck with it hoping things would improve. They didn't improve. If anything, the relationship seemed to deteriorate as the season progressed. You could hear the frustration in Hamilton's voice during crucial moments, and Adami often seemed unsure of how to handle the legendary driver's feedback and concerns. It was a mismatch that was hurting both Hamilton's performance and the team's overall effectiveness. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Ferrari isn't just making a change. They appear to have identified their primary target for Hamilton's new race engineer. According to multiple reports from Italian motorsport publications, the Scuderia has their sights set on Cédric Michel Grosjean, a former McLaren performance engineer who worked closely with Oscar Piastri's team last season. Michel Grosjean's background is fascinating. He was a lead trackside performance engineer on Piastri's car during McLaren's impressive 2025 campaign, and he reportedly left the Woking-based team at the end of the season. What makes this even more intriguing is that he recently liked a social media post from Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur, discussing the development of Ferrari's new SF26 car. That might seem like a small detail, but in the world of Formula One, these social media interactions often hint at bigger moves behind the scenes. But here's what makes this situation even more complex. Ferrari has to manage the transition period carefully. They can't just throw Hamilton into a completely new working relationship without proper preparation. So here's their plan for the upcoming preseason testing. During the first test in Barcelona, which is a behind-closed-doors session where teams can run for 3 of the 5 scheduled days, Hamilton will actually work with Charles Leclerc's race engineer Brian Bozzi. This is a smart move because it gives Hamilton a chance to work with someone who already understands Ferrari's systems and processes while maintaining some continuity within the team. Then, for the final 2 preseason tests in Bahrain, Ferrari plans to have Carlos Santi manage Hamilton's side of the garage. Santi has an interesting background. He previously worked as Kimi Räikkönen's race engineer, so he has experience working with world champions and understands the unique pressures that come with supporting a driver of Hamilton's caliber. This transitional approach shows that Ferrari is taking this change seriously. They're not just throwing Hamilton to the wolves with a completely new engineer right before the season starts. Instead, they're creating a bridge that allows for proper integration while they finalize their long-term solution. The timing of all this is crucial because 2026 represents a massive opportunity for both Hamilton and Ferrari. The new regulations could shake up the competitive order, and Ferrari has been working incredibly hard to develop a car that can fight for championships. Having the right driver-engineer partnership could be the difference between success and disappointment. What's particularly encouraging about the Michel Grosjean option is his recent experience with McLaren's success. He was part of a team that consistently made smart strategic decisions and maximized their car's potential throughout the 2025 season. That kind of tactical awareness and performance optimization expertise is exactly what Hamilton needs to get the most out of Ferrari's package. The relationship between a driver and race engineer is incredibly intimate in Formula One. These two people spend countless hours together, analyzing data, discussing setup changes, and making split-second decisions that can determine race outcomes. When that relationship works, it's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance. When it doesn't work, as we saw with Hamilton and Adami, it can sabotage an entire season. Hamilton has had incredibly successful partnerships in the past. His work with Peter Bonington at Mercedes was legendary, producing multiple championships and some of the most memorable race wins in recent Formula One history. That partnership worked because both men understood each other's communication styles and had complete trust in each other's judgment. Ferrari clearly recognized that Hamilton needed a fresh start with someone who could provide that same level of understanding and support. The fact that they're willing to make this change, even after just one season, shows they're committed to giving Hamilton every possible tool to succeed. The broader implications of this move extend beyond just Hamilton's personal success. Ferrari, as a team, needs to demonstrate they can adapt and make difficult decisions when things aren't working. For years, the Scuderia has been criticized for being too slow to react to obvious problems. This change suggests they're evolving into a more responsive and flexible organization. Looking ahead to 2026, this engineering change could be exactly what Hamilton needs to mount a serious championship challenge. With the right support system in place and Ferrari's continued development of their car package, we could be looking at a completely different dynamic next season. The truth is, everyone wants to see Hamilton succeed at Ferrari. It's one of the great romantic stories in modern Formula One. The legendary British driver finally getting his chance to race for the sport's most iconic team. But romance doesn't win championships. Smart decisions, effective communication, and seamless teamwork do. Ferrari appears to have learned from their mistakes and is taking decisive action to fix what clearly wasn't working. Whether Michel Grosjean ends up being the long-term solution remains to be seen. But the willingness to make this change shows Ferrari is serious about maximizing Hamilton's remaining years in the sport. Sometimes the best move is admitting when something isn't working and having the courage to start fresh. Did Lewis Hamilton just save his Formula One career? After one of the most brutal seasons in recent memory, the seven-time world champion stepped into Ferrari's brand new SF26 at Fiorano, and what he said afterward might shock you. This isn't just about a car launch. This is about redemption, passion, and whether one of the greatest drivers of all time still has what it takes to compete at the highest level. Let me paint you a picture of where Lewis Hamilton was just days ago. The 2025 season had been nothing short of devastating for the British driver. For the first time in his entire career, and we're talking about a man who's been racing at the top level for nearly 2 decades, Hamilton failed to score a single podium finish across an entire season. Think about that for a moment. This is a driver who has 103 Grand Prix victories, 7 world championships, and had never experienced such a complete drought of success. The final blow came in the most humiliating way possible. Hamilton ended the 2025 season with 4 consecutive qualifying eliminations in Q1. 4 races in a row where he couldn't even make it past the first qualifying session. For a driver of his caliber, this wasn't just poor performance. It was a crisis of identity. The paddock whispered about whether age had finally caught up with him. At 41 years old, with his Ferrari contract expiring at the end of 2026, many wondered if we were watching the twilight of a legend's career. But then Friday happened. Ferrari rolled out their SF26 Challenger, and everything changed. The moment Hamilton climbed into that cockpit and fired up the engine, something awakened within him that had been dormant throughout that nightmare 2025 campaign. His first words after stepping out of the car weren't about technical specifications or aerodynamic improvements. They were about reconnection and reignition. Here's what Hamilton said that caught everyone's attention, This day was a reminder of why he loves doing what he does and why he loves this sport. Those aren't the words of a man ready to hang up his helmet. Those are the words of someone who found their fire again. He described the experience as something that reignited his passion for Formula One. And when you consider the context of his recent struggles, that statement carries enormous weight. The visual alone was powerful. When the garage doors opened at Fiorano, Hamilton could immediately see the Tifosi, Ferrari's legendary passionate fan base, gathered at Turn 1. He spoke about this moment with genuine emotion, saying it's something he'll never get used to and never be able to forget. For a driver who spent years at Mercedes experiencing polite applause, the raw passion of Ferrari supporters represents something entirely different, a connection that goes beyond mere performance metrics. But let's dig deeper into what this moment really means. Hamilton revealed that he'd been at Ferrari for about a week leading up to this launch, watching the car come together piece by piece. He observed engineers at their desks, witnessed different departments contributing their expertise, and participated in simulator work to prepare for this moment. This isn't just about driving a new car. It's about being part of something that extends far beyond individual achievement. The technical aspect cannot be ignored either. The SF26 represents Ferrari's attempt to bounce back from their own disappointing 2025 campaign. While Hamilton struggled with pace, Ferrari as a whole failed to mount a serious championship challenge. The new car features innovative floor and front wing solutions that suggest the team has been busy addressing their fundamental performance issues during the winter break. What's particularly interesting is Hamilton's perspective on the uniqueness of his position. He emphasized that only he and Charles Leclerc get to experience what it's like to drive for Ferrari, with all the history, passion, and expectation that comes with it. This exclusivity seems to energize rather than pressure him. After spending years at Mercedes in a more corporate environment, Ferrari offers something that speaks to the romantic side of motorsport that initially drew Hamilton to the sport. The timing of this emotional reset couldn't be more crucial. With preseason testing beginning in Barcelona, Hamilton needs to translate this renewed enthusiasm into actual performance. His relationship with the car, the team, and his own confidence will be tested immediately. The pressure is immense. This is essentially his last chance to prove he belongs among the elite drivers in Formula One. There's also the matter of his new race engineer. Riccardo Adami, who worked with him in 2025, has been moved to focus on Ferrari's junior program. Charles Leclerc's engineer, Brian Bozzi, will temporarily work with Hamilton during the Barcelona test, while Ferrari searches for a permanent solution. This change represents both an opportunity and a challenge. A fresh perspective might be exactly what Hamilton needs, but building that crucial driver-engineer relationship takes time. The broader Formula One landscape in 2026 presents both opportunities and obstacles for Hamilton's redemption story. New technical regulations always shuffle the competitive order, and Ferrari's innovative approach with the SF26 suggests they believe they've found something their rivals haven't. If Hamilton can adapt quickly to both the new car and the evolving championship fight, his experience and racecraft could become decisive advantages. But here's what really matters: the human element. Hamilton's emotional response to this Ferrari launch reveals a driver who isn't ready to surrender. The disappointment of 2025 could have broken his spirit permanently, but instead, it seems to have reminded him of what he's fighting for. His description of waking up at Ferrari as very, very, very special, and his gratitude for the hard work of everyone around him suggests a renewed appreciation for his position. The Tifosi factor cannot be understated. Ferrari fans are unlike any other supporters in motorsport. Their passion borders on religious devotion, and their expectations are equally intense. Hamilton spoke about fans flying in from around the world just to witness this launch, creating an energy that he described as unmatched. This external pressure could crush some drivers, but for Hamilton, it seems to provide the emotional fuel he's been missing. Looking ahead to the 2026 season, Hamilton faces a defining moment in his career. This isn't about adding to his already impressive trophy collection. This is about proving that greatness doesn't have an expiration date. The SF26 shakedown at Fiorano wasn't just about testing a new car, it was about rediscovering the passion that made Hamilton one of the greatest drivers in Formula One history. Whether this renewed energy translates into competitive performance remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, Lewis Hamilton isn't done fighting. The fire is back, the passion has been reignited, and the 2026 Formula One season just became a lot more interesting. The Formula One world just got shaken up in a way nobody saw coming. Christian Horner, the man who built Red Bull into a championship dynasty before his shocking exit last summer, is now eyeing a return to the grid through Alpine. But this isn't just another team principal hiring story. This could fundamentally change the power structure of Formula One as we know it. Alpine officially confirmed this week that Horner is part of an investor group looking to purchase a significant stake in the team. We're talking about potentially buying out Otro Capital's 24% ownership, which they acquired for a staggering £171 million back in 2023. With Formula One valuations skyrocketing, that stake could be worth double or triple that amount today. Let's rewind to understand how we got here. Horner's departure from Red Bull last July sent shockwaves through the paddock. This wasn't just any team principal leaving. This was the architect of Red Bull's dominance, the man who guided Max Verstappen to multiple world championships, suddenly finding himself on the outside looking in. The circumstances surrounding his exit remain murky, but the fallout was immediate and dramatic. Since then, Horner has been quietly working behind the scenes, exploring pathways back into Formula One. Sources close to the situation suggest he's not interested in returning as just another employee. He wants ownership, control, and the security that comes with being an investor rather than someone who can be fired on a whim. Alpine represents the perfect opportunity. The French team has been struggling to find its identity and competitive edge for years. Despite having the backing of Renault, they've consistently underperformed relative to their resources and ambitions. The team has gone through multiple leadership changes, strategic pivots, and organizational restructures without achieving sustained success on track. Otro Capital's willingness to sell creates an opening that Horner and his investment partners are eager to exploit. The timing couldn't be more strategic. Formula One is entering a new regulation era in 2026, which historically provides opportunities for teams to leapfrog their competitors through superior technical and strategic execution. Horner's track record speaks for itself. Under his leadership, Red Bull transformed from an energy drink marketing exercise into one of the most successful teams in Formula One history. He understands how to build winning cultures, attract top talent, and navigate the complex political landscape of the sport. His expertise in developing young drivers and maximizing car performance could be exactly what Alpine needs. The financial implications are enormous. Formula One team valuations have exploded in recent years, driven by the sport's global expansion, increased media coverage, and the success of Drive to Survive in attracting new audiences. What seemed like expensive investments just a few years ago now look like bargains. Teams that were valued at hundreds of millions are now worth billions. For Horner's investor group, Alpine represents a potentially undervalued asset. The team has all the infrastructure, facilities, and technical capabilities needed to compete at the highest level. What they've lacked is consistent leadership and strategic direction. Horner brings both in abundance. The current ownership structure complicates matters. Renault maintains majority control with 76% ownership, while Otro Capital holds the remainder. Any deal would need Renault's blessing and cooperation. However, Renault's commitment to Formula One has fluctuated over the years, and they might welcome additional investment and expertise to share the financial burden. Alpine's official statement reveals their cautious optimism about potential new investors. They acknowledge the ongoing discussions while emphasizing their focus on improving performance for the new regulation era. This suggests they're open to change, but want to ensure any new partners align with their competitive ambitions. The 2026 regulation changes present a unique opportunity. New technical rules often shuffle the competitive order, allowing well-managed teams to make significant gains. Horner has navigated multiple regulation changes throughout his career, often positioning his teams to capitalize on new opportunities. His experience could prove invaluable during this transition period. Horner's upcoming speaking tour in Australia, coinciding with the start of the Formula One season, adds another layer of intrigue. These public appearances will be his first major media exposure since leaving Red Bull. How he handles questions about his future and potential Alpine involvement could provide crucial insights into the deal's progress. The broader implications for Formula One are significant. Horner's return would add another, experienced, successful leader to the grid. His rivalry with other top team principals like Toto Wolff and Fred Vasseur could reignite competitive tensions that benefit the sport's entertainment value. From Alpine's perspective, Horner brings credibility and proven success. Current and potential sponsors, drivers, and technical staff would view his involvement as a serious commitment to winning. This could help attract the resources and talent needed to compete with Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren. The timing also coincides with several other major moves in Formula One. Driver market shifts, technical personnel changes, and evolving partnerships are reshaping team dynamics across the grid. Horner's potential Alpine involvement could trigger additional changes as teams respond to this new competitive threat. Financial markets are watching closely. Formula One's growth trajectory shows no signs of slowing, and successful team investments have delivered substantial returns. Horner's group likely sees Alpine as an opportunity to capitalize on this broader trend, while satisfying his personal desire to return to competitive racing. However, significant challenges remain. Integrating new ownership while maintaining operational continuity requires careful management. Alpine's current leadership, including Flavio Briatore, would need to work effectively with Horner's vision and approach. Cultural and strategic alignment will be crucial for success. The driver market implications are equally intriguing. Horner has a proven track record of identifying and developing talent. His involvement could make Alpine a more attractive destination for top drivers seeking competitive opportunities. This could reshape contract negotiations and team strategies across the grid. As Formula One heads into another exciting season, Horner's potential Alpine involvement represents one of the most significant storylines to watch. Whether this investment materializes and how it might transform Alpine's competitive prospects will have lasting implications for the championship battle and the sport's future direction. The next few months will be crucial as negotiations progress and the new season unfolds. One thing is certain, Christian Horner's Formula One story is far from over. What if I told you that Ferrari just revealed their biggest fear going into the 2026 Formula One season? And no, it's not about speed, it's not about aerodynamics, and it's definitely not what you think it is. Stay with me, because what Ferrari's top engineer just admitted could completely change how we understand modern Formula One racing. Right now, as teams are gearing up for testing at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, Ferrari has dropped a bombshell that's got the entire paddock talking. While everyone's been obsessing over the revolutionary new regulations and those wild active aerodynamic systems, Ferrari's chassis technical director has just named something completely different as their #1 priority. And honestly, when you hear what it is, you'll realize why this could be the make-or-break factor for every team this season. But before we dive into Ferrari's shocking admission, let me paint you a picture of just how dramatically Formula One is about to change. We're talking about the biggest regulatory overhaul in decades. Active aerodynamics, completely redesigned power units, and technical innovations that would make the engineers from just 5 years ago's heads spin. Every team is essentially starting from scratch, throwing out years of development and beginning with a blank sheet of paper. Now here's where it gets interesting. With all these revolutionary changes, you'd expect teams to be talking about cutting-edge technology, pushing boundaries, and developing the most sophisticated systems imaginable. McLaren's been showcasing their Papaya livery. Aston Martin has Adrian Newey working his magic, and Lewis Hamilton just completed his first Ferrari shakedown at Fiorano. The entire sport is buzzing with excitement about innovation and speed. But Ferrari, they're thinking about something completely different. Something so fundamental that it could determine whether they're fighting for championships or struggling to score points. And the crazy part is, this isn't even new technology we're talking about. This is something that's been crucial since the very first Formula One race back in 1950. Ferrari's chassis technical director, Loic Serra, who previously worked at Mercedes and knows a thing or two about winning championships, has just revealed that reliability is their absolute highest priority going into this new era. Now, I know what you're thinking. Reliability? That sounds boring, right? But hear me out, because this is actually the most strategic thinking we've seen from any team so far. Think about it this way. When you have completely new regulations, when you're dealing with active aerodynamic systems that have never been used in Formula One before, when you have power units that are fundamentally different from anything we've seen, what's the biggest risk? It's not being slow. It's not finishing races at all. Serra put it perfectly when he explained their approach. He emphasized that when you're designing solutions for these new regulations, especially something as complex as active aerodynamics, you can't just focus on making it work. You have to make sure it works reliably, race after race, under the extreme conditions of Formula One racing. And that's infinitely more challenging than just getting the basic functionality right. Here's what makes this even more fascinating. Ferrari isn't just talking about traditional reliability issues like engine failures or gearbox problems. They're talking about the reliability of completely new systems. Imagine you're Lewis Hamilton flying down the main straight at Monza at over 300 kilometers per hour, and your active aerodynamic system decides to glitch. That's not just a retirement from the race. That's potentially catastrophic. But here's where Ferrari's strategy gets really clever. While other teams might be chasing the absolute maximum performance from these new regulations, Ferrari is taking a more measured approach. They're building systems that they know will work consistently, even if it means sacrificing some theoretical performance. It's like choosing a reliable road car over a temperamental supercar for a cross-country road trip. Serra, drawing from his experience at Mercedes, where reliability was absolutely crucial to their championship success, made another fascinating point. He said that reliability isn't more or less important than previous years, but the challenge is completely different. With new regulations come new failure modes, new stress points, and new ways for things to go wrong that teams haven't even discovered yet. Think about the testing that's about to begin in Barcelona. Every team will be learning not just about their own cars, but about the fundamental challenges of these new regulations. And here's the kicker. The teams that figure out reliability first will have a massive advantage because they'll be able to focus on development while their rivals are still trying to stop their cars from breaking down. Ferrari's approach becomes even more strategic when you consider the championship format. In a 24-race season, consistency beats raw speed almost every time. A car that finishes second in every race will beat a car that wins half the races, but retires from the other half. It's basic mathematics, but it's mathematics that many teams seem to forget in their pursuit of headlines and social media buzz. What's really interesting is how Serra addressed the concept choices Ferrari has made. When asked about some of the more exotic solutions we've seen from other teams, like double diffusers, he was completely unfazed. Ferrari has been focused entirely on their own development path, confident that they've chosen the right direction for their concept. That's the kind of focus that wins championships. But here's what I find most intriguing about Ferrari's strategy. They're not just playing the long game for this season, they're playing it for the entire regulatory cycle. These 2026 regulations will be in place for several years, and the teams that get the fundamentals right from the beginning will have the best platform for future development. This is where Ferrari's experience really shows. They've been through regulatory changes before, and they know that the flashiest launch car doesn't always translate to championship success. Remember, this is the team that's been racing since 1950, that's seen every trend and fashion in Formula One come and go. They understand that boring, methodical engineering often beats revolutionary concepts that don't work reliably. Serra's confidence in Ferrari's chosen path is particularly telling. He mentioned that during the conceptual phase, they evaluated numerous options and selected the ones they believed were in the right direction for their overall concept. This suggests a systematic, engineering-led approach rather than chasing headlines or trying to be the most innovative team on the grid. The Barcelona testing is going to be absolutely crucial in validating this strategy. While other teams might be making bold claims about their innovative solutions, Ferrari will be quietly racking up lap after lap, gathering data and proving that their systems work consistently. And in the long run, that's exactly the approach that wins championships. So as we watch these first tests unfold, don't just look at the stopwatch times. Look at which cars are completing their programs, which systems are working as intended, and which teams are building the foundation for sustained success. Because if Ferrari's strategy is correct, reliability might just be the secret weapon that determines the 2026 Formula One World Championship. What if I told you that one of Formula One's most promising young drivers just revealed something that could completely change how McLaren approaches the championship fight in 2026? Well, that's exactly what happened when Oscar Piastri dropped some major hints about McLaren's infamous Papaya Rules. Now, if you're not familiar with the Papaya Rules, let me catch you up real quick. These are McLaren's internal guidelines that govern how their two drivers race against each other. Think of them as the unwritten laws that keep teammates from destroying each other's seasons while still allowing them to compete fairly. But here's where things get interesting. After what can only be described as a roller coaster 2025 season, Piastri has come out and said that McLaren might need to tweak these rules to make life easier for everyone involved. And trust me, when you hear what went down last season, you'll understand why. Let me paint you a picture of just how intense things got between Piastri and his teammate, Lando Norris. We're talking about a season that started with McLaren having the fastest car on the grid, both drivers fighting for race wins, and what looked like a dream scenario for the Woking-based team. But as we all know in Formula One, dreams can quickly turn into nightmares. The drama really kicked off at the Italian Grand Prix, and this is where the Papaya Rules became a hot topic. Picture this. McLaren messes up a pit stop strategy, and suddenly Piastri finds himself ahead of Norris on track. Now, under normal circumstances, you'd think the faster driver on the day would just stay where they are, right? Wrong. McLaren ordered Piastri to hand second place back to Norris, citing their internal rules about fair play. You can imagine how that went down with the fans. Piastri supporters were absolutely furious, claiming that McLaren was playing favorites with the British driver. The social media meltdown was epic, with people questioning whether these Papaya Rules were actually fair or just a convenient way to help one driver over another. But wait, it gets even more complicated. Fast forward to Singapore, and now we have Norris crashing into Piastri during the race. McLaren wasn't happy about this and decided to impose some internal consequences on their star driver. You'd think that would be the end of it, but Formula One loves its plot twists. At the Austin Grand Prix, during the sprint race, Piastri ended up collecting Norris on the opening lap. Suddenly, McLaren found themselves in an awkward position where both drivers had taken each other out at different points in the season. What did they do? They dropped the consequences they'd given Norris, essentially calling it even. Now, here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. Despite all this drama, despite having what many considered to be the fastest car for a significant portion of the season, it was Norris who ended up winning his first championship. Piastri, who at one point had a substantial lead in the standings, watched his title hopes slip away and finished third, 13 points behind the leader. The Australian driver was refreshingly honest about how much these controversial moments affected his season. He openly admitted that the Monza incident, where he was forced to give up position to his teammate, had a lasting impact on his championship campaign. You have to respect that level of honesty from a driver who could have easily made excuses or pointed fingers. So what does this mean for 2026? Well, Piastri recently sat down for an interview and gave us some fascinating insights into McLaren's thinking moving forward. He revealed that the team is already deep in conversations about how to handle these situations better in the future. What I found particularly interesting was his perspective on how these rules are perceived from the outside versus the reality inside the team. Piastri mentioned that while the Papaya Rules get talked about extensively in the media and among fans, behind the scenes, it's actually a much smaller discussion than people realize. But clearly, the events of 2025 have shown that even small internal policies can have massive external consequences. The young driver emphasized that McLaren's intentions have always been in the right place. They're not trying to sabotage one driver or favor another. The Papaya Rules exist to ensure clean, fair racing between teammates while still allowing them to compete at the highest level. But, as Piastri pointed out, they're constantly evolving these guidelines based on what they learn from each season. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella also weighed in on this topic, and his comments reveal just how seriously the team is taking this review process. He confirmed that they're going through what he called a thorough process of examination, looking at where they can improve their approach to internal competition. What struck me about Stella's comments was his emphasis on the fundamental principles that McLaren refuses to compromise on. He made it clear that fairness, integrity, equal opportunities, and sportsmanship remain absolutely fundamental to the team's identity. These aren't just buzzwords for them. They're core values that guide every decision they make. But here's the key insight that I think will shape McLaren's approach in 2026. Both Piastri and Stella acknowledge that managing internal competition requires a significant amount of work, not just from the team management, but also from the drivers themselves. They're looking for ways to simplify this process without compromising their principles. Think about it from McLaren's perspective for a moment. They have two incredibly talented drivers who are both capable of winning races and championships. That's an amazing problem to have, but it's still a problem that needs managing. How do you keep both drivers motivated and fighting for wins while ensuring they don't destroy each other's seasons or damage the team's constructors' championship hopes? The tweaks they're considering for 2026 aren't about changing their fundamental approach to fairness. Instead, they're looking at making their internal processes more streamlined and less burdensome for everyone involved. It's about finding that sweet spot where both drivers can race hard against each other without the constant need for complex decision-making from the pit wall. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the timing. Formula One is entering a new technical era in 2026 with significant regulation changes. McLaren will have a fresh start with new cars, new challenges, and potentially new competitive dynamics. It's the perfect time to refine their approach to managing driver relationships. From Piastri's perspective, you can sense that he's learned a lot from the 2025 season. He's not bitter about what happened, but he's clearly thinking about how to avoid similar situations in the future. His mature approach to discussing these sensitive topics shows why McLaren has so much confidence in him as a future champion. The really fascinating aspect of this whole story is how it reflects the broader challenges facing Formula One teams in the modern era. With social media amplifying every decision and fans scrutinizing every team order, managing internal competition has become more complex than ever before. Looking ahead to 2026, McLaren faces an interesting challenge. They need to maintain their commitment to fair racing while finding ways to reduce the complexity and controversy that surrounded their decisions in 2025. Whatever changes they implement will be closely watched by fans, media, and other teams alike. The bottom line is this: McLaren's Papaya Rules aren't going away, but they're definitely evolving. Piastri's candid comments give us a rare glimpse into how top Formula One teams navigate the delicate balance between internal competition and team harmony. As we head toward the 2026 season, it'll be fascinating to see how these refinements play out when the racing gets intense again. One thing's for certain: with two drivers of Piastri and Norris's caliber, McLaren's Papaya Rules will be tested once again when the championship fight heats up.